right, we're back for another episode of Betting Weekly Tennis Live, all part of the Bet Rivers Network. Download the app and follow the social channels on the X account on Instagram and on YouTube at Because We Win. We've got tennis all across Asia. We've got some exciting times and some early round matchups that we're going to talk about in China, some ATP 250s there. We've also got future markets bets on WTA Seoul, a big Billie Jean King Cup match that features an American. There's a lot to like in the tennis world, and joining me now on this show, excited to catch back up. Big-time tennis fan, big-time gambling man, Oasis fan, and I think karaoke fan as well. Nigel Seeley, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you very much. Fan of everything. Fan of life. I'm a fan of life, Mitch. That's what I like enjoying myself. I was getting panicky there because I was trying to retweet the show and my phone wasn't charging enough. So it's good to be back. I was out in New York last time. I don't think I've spoken to you since then for the Open. That was great fun. The Oasis concert was good. I met a couple of guys that knew you. They were all giving very, very nice complimentary things about it. Sure, it's the same Mitch Michaels as I know. I said that's no, I didn't. Really. Very complimentary. And a few people watched the show, so it was good. So hopefully coming in, but it's that kind of feeling, isn't it? After the US Open, it's like me and Sean Calvert were speaking about this yesterday. Do you think that the tennis season should end after the US Open?
So. My thoughts on that. My thoughts on that are interesting, right? Like, I don't know that I would end it because I don't know that I want to take tennis away from people that only get a chance to see it now based on the schedule. But I am a fan, and I might have been Andy Roddick or somebody saying this. We should definitely not have huge tournaments past this point. Like, I don't think there should be more like 1,000-level events or mandatory events too. I think this is an opportunity for the players that want to work their way up at the 250 level. Because there is that fatigue factor, right? Like, it just keeps going for another couple months. And I know you're a big, English football fan, but the off season there is about the same as here, right? There's like a month in tennis and you have to be back in training.
Yeah, but the different thing is they're a team sport. So you've got 11 players, squads now of like 40 players, 50 players. So players can get rested for key matches, whereas the tennis it's week in and week out and individual. I just think this part of the swing should be at the start of the year. When the Australian Open starts, the weather obviously in the Far East will be nice. Then I just don't see the point of it now. I think you're going to get a lot of people coming into this tournament injured, a lot of people not very motivated, and the reason why we have the Paris event at the end is to basically just it's to get people trying to play to get them their spots into the tour championship. I just think this should be. I know that I become deflated after this, after the US Open. I feel the US Open is the pinnacle of the year, and then suddenly it drops.
And I think it happens in America. It happens in America too, right? Because there's so many NFL fans out here that when football season starts, it's kind of a little hard. You got US Open, it's like the bookend of tennis, and then they're into the fall football season. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you. You mentioned France, right? Like Paris. Have you noticed, like, when they have challenger events there, just how insanely packed those crowds are? Like, they draw the best. Yeah.
I've been to it's a new stadium this year, though. It's a bigger stadium. So they've moved it from Versailles, which is it's on the outskirts of Paris, and then they've got this kind of court that goes underneath, which is the queue is insane. And I went once, and I'll never go again. I just, it was just too busy. But it's like you say, a lot of these people. Sorry, a lot of people there. I know Paris has a major, but it's hard to get tickets for the French Open. It's very expensive. There's a lot of school kids there who go there for that tournament. So it's these people's opportunity to see the big players. But unfortunately, they don't see the big players. I mean, Djokovic had lost it a couple of times in the final. Holger Rune won it. I mean, I think Felix Auger-Aliassime won that tournament, didn't he, in Paris a few years ago? I mean, did he get to go deep? I know he won 3 tournaments on the back. But you don't see the best players playing their best tennis at that tournament. I think it's a bit of a shame.
Yeah, we already saw Sabalenka pull out. She announced today she's not going to be in Beijing. And as our guy in the chat says, like, Beijing, Wuhan, WTA 1000s back-to-back is pretty crazy this time of year. Any time of year, really, to have it, is pretty tough. But we do have a lot to get to on the show. And one of the ATP 250s we'll dive into with the future board is Chengdu. A lot of big names in this tournament for 250. There's interesting betting opportunities, and I know the future markets, you guys have been killing it or been very, very close to some huge payouts. Was talking to Rory last week when we were going over Guadalajara and Sao Paulo, but here's the market right now for Chengdu with Musetti as the top favorite, plus 225, followed by Nakashima and Greek Sport. Then you get into the 4 digits with Monfils, Mpetshi, Perricard, a couple of French players, and Darderi following it up there. So there's the name and the board. Some interesting names on there. and some players that I would be honest, I wasn't expecting to see maybe as high on the list. But initial thoughts, Nigel, from the Chengdu board.
Well, I mean, there's a mention there from Ming Shung. So this is the best time of tennis schedule for shocks. I think it is. Also, 250 is a very it's very hard for the players at the top echelons, the top rankings, to motivate themselves for 250. Right. They want to get acclimatized for those 1,000s, which means much more importance. But in this Chengdu tournament, we do have a player in Lorenzo Musetti who may be motivated because he's currently in 8th in the race for Turin. Obviously, Jack Draper's ahead of him, so technically he's in 7th. But he's got to get some points to get himself for the first time into the Tour Championship, which, being an Italian in Italy, it's only going to be there for a couple more years. It's very important to get that. So Musetti will be motivated for this tournament, hence the reason why he's a plus 225 favourite. Would I bet him at plus 225? Not a chance. Not a chance. In a 250 at the end of the season, would I be betting someone 225? Sean Calvert gave 2 picks on Betting Weekly game bet match. One of them, he got beat today. He went for Quinton Hallis. Today, and the other pick he went for is Coleman Wong, who is in Tara Daniel, and the winner of that will play Greek Sport. But the reason why that is the weather. The weather in Chengdu is going to be rain affected this tournament. They do have indoor courts, and I think that you have to look at this schedule and think to yourself, okay, the basis that you're having for somebody to bet them on an outside hard court may change if it moves indoors. So that is very, very important to remember, because the weather across China in both tournaments is going to be heavily rain affected over the next few days.
Yeah. How about last year's champion who was put on that board, Jerry Shang? He was somebody that you could look at potentially. And honestly, I'll pull the board up one more time, plus 1,600. Same odds as Dino Prizmic, the Croatian, who, I'm a fan of, but let's just look at accomplishments so far. So that'd be the one. Jerry Shang won the tournament last year. I think worth another go here, obviously, given, his heritage as well.
2 things. I like Jerry Shang. 2 things I'll be the good thing. Well, I'll give you 1 positive and 2 negatives. The 1 positive is in the bottom half of the draw. I think the bottom half of the draw, the bracket, is much weaker than the top half of the draw. So I think that's a positive for him. The negative is he plays Brandon Nakashima. And obviously Nakashima has got heritage from over here as well. So I think it's a very important match for him in the next round. He's going to be the dog in that. And the other thing that I think is a slight negative for him is Nakashima has a bye because he's number 4 seed, so he's a bye into the second round.
Right.
And Zhang has just come through a bit of a long match against Zizou Bergs, where he narrowly won 6-4 in the final set. And Zhang has had injury problems, and that would slightly put me off. If I was looking for somebody now to get involved in, I quite like the look of Marcus Giron. I thought he played well today. Yeah. In that bottom half of the draw. I think it's a weak section. If I was going to go in now fresh, Marcus Giron would be the man I would go with. I'm with Sean. I always bet whatever Sean says. Coleman Wong was the person I have. So I would go in again with Marcus Giron.
Giron's done well this time of year. I think his real first breakthrough came in Paris at the Masters a couple years ago when he elevated up. And Coleman Wong just trying to keep it going after the U.S. Open and do some things as the Hong Kong tennis player. We can look at some matches too, Nigel, because we've already got some matches to get to again. This time of year is interesting. For me, it's all overnight. So I can stay up as late as I can, and then I wake up and just.
It's the early hours of the morning for us. So I always wake up really early. So I'm an early riser. I go to bed. I don't know if you've noticed, because we're in our WhatsApp.
Do you sleep? That's what I was wondering. If you
do sleep, but I only have it doesn't appear to you I sleep, but I sleep when you sleep, because I go to bed very early. I go to bed like 10 o'clock, and then I wake up at like 5 in the morning. So this is, as soon as I wake up tomorrow morning, all the tennis will be on. So you'll see I'm very active on the WhatsApp group very early in the morning, and then I go very quiet. So I do realize that all the guys who are American in the WhatsApp group obviously mute me when I wake up in the morning. So it's very good to do. Yeah,
it's funny living in America when I get the good morning, or here's the good morning, and it's like, I haven't even gone to sleep yet. It's a reasonable hour. But we have some good matches, and we can follow the board up right now. Prizmic, who I mentioned, minus 143 against Atmane, who kind of made a name for himself in this summer, really showing out and doing well in Cincinnati. Botic van Zandschlup, who famously beat Rafael Nadal in his last match in the Davis Cup last year. Big win over Alcaraz, the U.S. Open. He's a slight favorite over McDonald. And then Shevchenko versus minus 200. Gael Monfils, the old dog, just staying around with it. So 3 interesting matchups. Any leans or plays off the top, Nigel?
Well, I'm going to go straight in with my first leg of my daily double. Straight in, off the bat. I'm going to go straight in. No messing around. We're going straight in. Sean Calvert and I spoke about some of these matches yesterday. We spoke about this particular match, but Sean never, ever gave an official play, and I was quite surprised by that. And my first official play is Terence Atmane. I don't understand why he's plus 115 to beat Dino Prizmic. If you look at his record this year on hard courts, very, very credible. 25 wins from 39 matches compared to Prizmic, who's only won 7 of 10. Good ratio, but not a lot of matches. Coming into this tournament, Prizmic got beaten the first round by Rublev, got beaten the Davis Cup by Mute, and obviously Atmane had that brilliant run to the semi-finals at Cincinnati where he beat some good players, Fonseca, Caboli, Fritz, Holger Rune. He came through qualifying there as well, and then he obviously got beat by Sinner, but he did give Sinner a test. He played well in the first set, and I know he got injured, didn't play in the US Open, but the injury was a factor here. And when these lines first come out, he was a lot bigger. He was something, I think he opened up about plus 150, Terence Atmane. And I think Bet Rivers did that because they were slightly concerned about the injury. I think he's a better player than Prizmic. You can look at the ranking. You can see he's 51 spots higher than his opponent here. And yet he's the dog. I think they were worried about the injury. But the fact that the money has come for him in the last sort of 12 hours or so for he's 23, young French guy, and the money has come for him. He should recover in time. It's a long time ago, that injury. The fact that the money has come for him suggests to me that the market thinks that he's fit enough to participate. I don't like it when I like a player and he's got an injury problem and the market goes against me. The fact it's going for me, I take as a big positive. And I think plus 115 is a very, very generous price. And judging by over here, I have a screen where I can see all the line movements across the world. And at this current moment, that plus 115 is one of the best prices, if not the best price, anywhere in the world. I think there is a plus 120 elsewhere, but everyone else is moving very quickly. And one firm is actually making Atmane a slight minus money favourite for this match. So I am all over Atmane here. I think on the form that he's shown in Cincinnati, he deserves to be favourite. And Prizmic, obviously, he's Davis Cup, travelling across. Atmane here, time off, relax. I think plus 115 is the first leg of my daily double and a confident selection. And even if you don't want to put it a double, the single at plus 115 is a very, very nice price. So that's where I'm going straight away.
A lot of value on that one based on what we've seen, as you mentioned, the ranking, the accomplishments, all that, where Prizmic lacks a little bit. And yeah, I wonder too, Nigel, and this is something we've seen like a tennis storyline, is how much of the injury, quote unquote, or the time off was like the mental exhaustion of just what he'd been through before. So I think he just needed a little reset, and I would expect him to play well. I think just on the face of value, that number is just too good to pass up.
Yeah, I think it's a great price. Just look on the season form, and if you would just, I always say this to people, and I've never used this to you, but if you had just come down from Mars and you were watching the Cincinnati tennis tournament, and you watched the tournament that week, and you watched Atmane and you watched Prizmic playing in the Davis Cup, and you said the two of these are going to play in a week's time, and you'd be the underdog plus money, this guy. Well, you'd be going back to Mars, thinking these earthlings have not got any idea what they're talking about. That's what I think would happen.
So that's the first leg of the daily double, and that's also good because for the numbers wise, you put a plus leg in that daily double, you can be a little safer if you want on the second leg, or just go big. So
listen, it's all go big or go home. Safe is not an option.
You're not stopping at those yellow lights. You're just going right through it. Sometimes
we're going straight through.
The other two matches here on the board, I mentioned Botic versus the American Mackie. Mackie's had some solid results over here. And Monfils, at his age, you wonder. Shevchenko's been streaky. Monfils really hasn't had the results this year, which, given his age, is understandable. But maybe a spot for an upset to happen there. I don't know how you see it, but Shevchenko-Monfils could be an interesting one.
I think first one, McDonald v Van der Santchuk. I think it's a very, very difficult match to call. I think the market and the early moves in the market likes Botic Van der Santchuk to win this match. There has been a little bit of line movement, but you cannot trust Botic. It's whatever side of the bed he gets out of. Sometimes he loves tennis. Sometimes he's stated before he falls in and out of love with tennis.
It's like Ostapenko. He's like the male Ostapenko.
Absolutely. And I just do not know what he's going to show. The last time they played was in Hertogenbosch, which McDonald won in a long match. Yeah, on the grass.
Yeah.
They played in Melbourne in a hardcourt event. Then Melbourne Somerset things, which was, Van der Santrup won that, but I don't think that's much relevance. But I think this is a genuine 50-50 call. Van der Santrup is on a bad run of form at the moment, lost his last 3 matches. McDonald's come through 2 qualifiers here. If the line went bigger, at the moment, the bettors want to get with Botic. If they kept on, the money kept on coming for Botic, and Mackenzie McDonald went out a little bit more bigger than plus money, then I'd probably side with the American here, but no real edge for me. And the other match, Sean yesterday gave a big case for Shevchenko. He liked Shevchenko to beat Gael Monfils. Gael Monfils is in terrible, terrible form, 39 years of age, long season, traveling across here, played an awful lot of tennis, long matches as well. And the line has moved, but I would edging towards Shevchenko. I bet him yesterday at plus 175. The line has moved to plus 160. My work is done. But if anybody hasn't got on the plus 175, I would recommend them take the plus 160 now at Bet Rivers, because I think that's a nice price.
Yeah, first time they've ever played. Shevchenko, to be fair, not exactly in the best form either, but youth usually, he's got, 15 years on him. So yeah. I think that might be an advantage here too. And we talk about motivation as well being a factor. I just think that number is pretty good. But yeah, Botic is interesting guy, right? Like when he's in a spot as a live underdog, that's one thing, but I don't know. I kind of like Mackie in that one too. So those are some good ones there. We, looking at the rest, there's another match. There's other matches that we haven't got to. You have pretty sizable favorites in Sonego and Perricard, Mpetshi Perricard. I don't know, Nigel. Do you think about not just their matches, but their status as contenders in this tournament for the Italian and the Frenchman?
Well, the Sonego has an awful record over in this time of year in Asia. I think he's played 6 matches in China and has only won 1. I think he's got a terrible, terrible record. So, Mpetshi Perricard is someone that he needs it as quick as possible. And I don't think if they play outside with the weather, if it's quite wet and dull, I don't think it's going to suit Mpetshi Perricard. If they move indoors, then possibly that might help a little bit more, but we don't know what the surface is like indoors yet. So I think he needs it as quick as possible to get that serve going. And he's not playing well. He's someone that we've spoken about as someone who could break into into the top C's, the top 32. But if the serve doesn't work, he's got nothing. There's nothing much to his game other than that serve. So he needs conditions to be absolutely spot on for him to have a bet. So I would I only put the games up, the matches up there that I had a slight interest in. But good luck. There's a good slate. Bet Rivers markets on it on the app. Download it and have a look.
Yeah, watch out for Perricard in a couple weeks. He won Basel last year. If the serve indoors is booming, it's a different type of thing, fast court. So we'll move on here on Betting Weekly Tennis Live. Mitch Michaels, Nigel Steely. Remember, all these bets can be made by one simple thing. Just download the Bet Rivers app and get in on the action. Another ATP tournament in Hangzhou. Some bigger names in this one. We got the outright market. Andrei Rublev as the favorite, plus 350. Daniil Medvedev, plus 500. Bublik 550, Berrettini. We got Korda, Mute, Werner Tien. Yeah, there's a lot of names here and some long shots as well. But first initial thoughts. Interesting to see Medvedev, back again and at the plus 500 mark, overhauling his team. Nice to see Berrettini. But Nigel, on the contender list, what are your initial thoughts?
Well, if you look at, we covered this in great detail with Sean on Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. If you haven't watched it, it's there. The one thing I would say is on that list, I would look to fade virtually all of those at the top of the market. Bublik, Rublev, Medvedev, you're putting your trust in those 3 in a 250 after the US Open over in China. Wow,
it's weird. I would almost think that Berrettini, just because if he's healthy, he's motivated to get back on the court and do well versus the other 3 at higher numbers that I just, as you said, I don't know that I would trust here.
No, there wouldn't be for me. Mute as well. Would you trust him? He's had an absolute. He was brilliant in the Davis Cup, but he's in and out. Wu obviously is a player that's. I just think it's a difficult tournament to call. Sean has gone for 2 outsiders. Echeverry was one of his bets, and Boo was the other one. But I like the one I liked. He come through a bit of a battle today, but I think Werner Tien would be my way of thinking. He's in the first quarter. He's up against Rublev if he gets through to the quarterfinals. They both win their next match. They'll get through the quarterfinals. He'll play Son or Zeperi. I think he'll have no problem against that. Rublev should get through that. Then it's Tien against Rublev. I don't think he'd be too worried about Rublev, the way he's playing. He would be my idea of looking for some value now, but we've got some big prices. But I think the common consensus in this tournament is to fade those three. I mean, I don't think you've had a more temperamental three at the top of any tennis betting market I can remember for a very, very long time. And you wouldn't be trusting any of them at odds of 6 or shorter. Very, not for me.
Couldn't believe Medvedev's price given everything that went down in the U.S. Open and having a new coaching team now. Yeah, Tien is a good one. He's into the top 50 now, but he doesn't have a career title yet. So I think there's motivation to get that first hardware and move forward. Played Rublev, would draw Rublev if he gets there after a tough battle with Navona. Still some work to do, but they split a couple great hardcourt matches. Tien got him in straight sets in D.C. Rublev returned the favor, so it's a winnable spot. But yeah, I think a lot of the thing that we're looking at too is that you have favorites this time of year, and not just this time of year, Nigel, but at this level, and it's just hard to really trust a big favorite in a smaller tournament.
Yep. Absolutely, motivation is in all sports, isn't it? You know, if you have in the world of soccer, if you have a lesser cup competition, the favourite is going to be more of a fade because there isn't much prize money, or there isn't the glamour of winning the Champions League or the Premier League title. And exactly the same rule applies in tennis. You've got big names here in 250s, but you know, if they win the tournament and pick up the winner's check, it doesn't really make much of a difference. It's all about them getting levels of practice ahead of the big events that are coming up. And for a player like learning a team or someone who's got some connections in that area, it's everything for them.
Yeah. Let's look at some Hangzhou matches, some good ones coming up on the slate tomorrow. You've got Zoomer taking on Etcheverry, Sean's pick at -250 to win the tournament. He's a big favorite in this match. Basavareddy, who might be a live contender, takes on the Grand Slam winner, the U.S. Open champ from 2014, Marin Cilic. You have Rinky Hijikata taking on Ugo Carabelli, and Adam Walton taking on the American -210, Sebi Korda. So a lot to choose from, a lot to discuss in this slate. And I guess the first one I want to ask you about, Nigel, Korda and Walton, that was an interesting price given I think Walton's played pretty well, and Korda's been bit by the injury bug yet again. I initially thought that number was too high. I don't know if you have any thoughts on it.
Well, I mean, Sebastian Korda's just he's just a player that I think so much potential. I've spoken about him potentially being a major winner. He's a player that I believe if he's match fit and ready, he's a top tenner, but he has just been blighted with injuries. And you never know what's going to happen with him. He came back in Winston-Salem, didn't he? Looked good, reached the semi-finals. And I thought he's back. Got beat by Fucsovics, had to retire injured, and then he went to the French Open the week later and injured again. So it's a big question whether he's fit here. Walton got beat by our man Wong in the US Open 3-1. He's had a good year. I think this one is just a watch and breathe. Really, I think if I was going to play this match, I think the way I would watch it would be to see how Korda started in the first 2 or 3 games. If I thought that he wasn't 100% and he wasn't serving great, or he was returning, or not looking his movement looking that good, I would then probably pull the trigger, have a little bet in play. But pre-match, it's a difficult one to call for me.
Yeah, you look at it, maybe if Korda looks good, handles him, okay, it's one to bet going forward in this tournament, even matches ahead. But yeah. Other matches on that board, anything that you got the Etcheverry, we mentioned Hijikata, and anybody else?
Could you put the graphic back up again for me, Mitch? Right. The bet I like here, and it is going to be part of my daily double, but unfortunately we haven't got the bet the market I wanted to have. But I'll give you the bet I want. I'm going to put it in as a short price to boost that daily double up. But I'm going to go for Rinky Hijikata at -225 to beat Ugo Carabelli. I wanted to bet him on the spread. It'd probably be about -3.5 favorite. So I think he'll cover that spread. But at the moment we've only got the money line. But I think Hijikata is going to go deep here. He's obviously he's got Japanese parents. Obviously, he's in China, but again, this part of the world will mean something to him. I think he looked good today in the match I saw him play in qualifying. Sorry, he came through qualifying against Christopher Eubanks, good win. He beat Brandon Holt, another good win, and he was really good in that match. I watched that match. He blew him away in the first set, 6-2, and then he won 7-5. But I was very impressed with it. And Ugo Carabelli is somebody who's basically in his last 6 matches, 3 of them they haven't been completed. He gave up against Ben Shelton in the second round. He gave up against Carabelli in Toronto. He was awful at the US Open against Echeverry. I saw him play live in Miami against Novak Djokovic, and I think he lost the first set 6-love, and then made it quite competitive at the end. And I'm telling you now, the Argentinian will not be motivated for a trip to the other side of the world, in China, to play a pumped-up Rinky Hijikata. Will have a lot of support for him, and Ugo Carabelli will be not interested in this one bit. So I think that Carabelli will cover the spread here, and I'm going to go for Rinky Hijikata into the money.
Yeah, and Hijikata, he's playing doubles, oddly enough, with his country-mate Adam Walton here. His doubles run at Wimbledon, making the final, losing to the British team, was another good bump for him too. Yeah, you got to look at the word of the day is motivation, but also surface results, this time of the year results. Are you, Nigel, looking back at like kind of years past, last year, a couple of years ago, how maybe these players did this time of the year to factor in on your bets?
I have looked at it before, but I just think motivation. Let's have a look at Ugo Carabelli's form this year. You say that, I think the comment there said he can play on hard. He's played 10 matches on hard. He's only won 4 of them, and the 4 matches he's played, they're not the great. The 4 matches he's won aren't the greatest of names.
Nishikori,
on a grass court. Anything other than on a grass court, he's played 5 matches, hasn't won a match, and this is a quick surface. I understand Rinky Hijikata hasn't had the best of time this season, but he will be motivated to play tournaments in the Far East compared to Argentinian Ugo Carabelli, who has been very, very disappointing. And some of his performances, especially against Carabelli, especially against Shelton when he pulled up, and his last match against Echeverry, where he was dreadful. He lost 6-3, 6-2, 6-love. They've been questionable, to say the very least, about someone who's been in the top 40 in the world. So I am extremely confident on our man to win this. I'm extremely confident to him to cover the 3.5 spread. But unfortunately, I can't put the 3.5 in because it's not there. So I'm just going to put him in the money line for my bet. And that will take us up to a very, very nice price.
All right. Yeah, and the other match on that list, which was funny, like Basavareddy, similar to Tien, right? Like I think this could be motivation to get that first title and kind of keep going. But I am a little worried with the Cilic match because Cilic is that old. I wonder how much Cilic has left in the holster. So that's one where it wouldn't shock me if the old dog got the win. But I do like Basavareddy's game, and I think he's a player that wants to go all the way here and is willing to do it. So. I
still think with Cilic, 2 things about Cilic. I still think that he's capable of wins. I know he's lost his last 4 matches, but obviously at Wimbledon, he beat Jack Draper, didn't he? He beat Munar. He went to got beat by Kabori in around the 16. That was his last win, actually, against Munar. But I still think he's a player. We haven't got many great players for Grand Slam champions who've got an aura about them. Novak Djokovic has that aura about him. But when you see Marin Cilic, he's a very powering guy. If he's serving well, he could beat the lesser, the players who are younger, maybe a little bit in awe of him with just his presence. Like Goran Ivanisevic, easy for me to say.
Ivanisevic,
at the end of his career. So he has got that kind of feel about it. And the other thing is that he's the defending champion here. So he's got points to defend. So that might not be as easy as you would think. But I do think that a bet I like in that match, I think the first set will be very tight. I usually find with these sort of legends like coming towards the end of the grid, Cilic, Stanislav Wawrinka, their first sets are very, very close. And then all of a sudden they run out of legs and they get run over in the second set. So I think over 10.5, set number 1 could be the way to go in that match.
Stan's over there hitting tweeners and challenger matches, just still going. I mean, he's trying to keep it going. But yeah, there's very few players left with that aura. Cilic has a slam, and he did it in the toughest era to do it. So respect to him. But that was good there. We're gonna finish the show up talking a little women's action. I know on your show with Sean, and I know on all the breakdowns we've had, there's been rain, unfortunately, which is bad. So we've got the matches previewed, most of them. But we did want to take a minute, Nigel, and look at the Seoul WTA 500 future board. Just see where we stand right now. Iga, this looks like a Roland Garros future board, but Iga's -110 is the favorite. You got Tauson, Alexandrova, Emma Raducanu in a big matchup with Barbora Krejcikova that we'll talk about. And I will say, how about my girl Maya Joint? She's been someone that I've kind of been on the train of, and she's a huge win the other day and up to plus 1,400. So we see it as Iga versus the field, but there are some other contenders on this list.
Well, Iga's had a long season. She's had a very, very she had a disappointing US Open by her standards. Obviously, she struggled against Lamins, and then she obviously lost against Anisimova, who avenged that women's final, which was a fantastic performance and an amazing turnaround from Anisimova. And I think that will give her huge confidence for the end of the season. But is she vulnerable in this tournament? I'm not so sure. It's quite a slow tournament, which will suit Iga Swiatek. I think if Iga Swiatek wants to win it and fancies it, she'll win it. The only person who can beat her is herself. But she's had better results on quicker services this year, which is crazy to think about when you think about Iga Swiatek. But she's had better results on quicker services. She has a bit of a test tomorrow against Castillo, who's playing well. I know she's beaten the 5 and zip in the head-to-head, but Castillo's playing well at the moment. That's a bit of a test for her. So it's really whether she wants. I'm looking at the bottom half of the draw and trying to find someone who we can get to the final at a big price. And I've bet Schneider, who was lucky to come through today, and I've bet Lamins at 150. So I've bet 2 people against who play each other. And if you want to see how I think that match will go and the other matches will go, we preview them on Betting Weekly WTA with myself and Rory, which is now on the YouTube channel.
On Monday, we talked about it, myself and Tim Dennis, about that Schneider-McNally match and said, Schneider's been a little off, like she's been inconsistent. Can she right the ship and avoid the upset bug? Maybe that's the one, right? You never know. Maybe that's the win that snaps her into good form. She was fortunate, but she found a way through. So, yeah,
she almost blew it. She done it on her 5th match point, and she done it because McNally couldn't serve it out. She was serving for the match and got broke to love, and then McNally came back and couldn't hold her serve. She was quite fortunate, but that's the problem with Schneider. I remember that famous match where she played Paolini in Rome, and I bet her to win the tournament that tournament. She's 80-1, and she had a place in the final at stake, and she absolutely froze. The crowd's got to her, and that is her problem. She's got all the shots, and sometimes she's well beat, and then other times she just cannot convert.
Well, a couple more matches, couple women's matches I want to preview, get thoughts on before we go here on Betting Weekly Tennis Live. Also, we always talk about this time of year and how exciting it is, and I just think you look at the newsletter, it's the best place to go, bettingweeklystudios.com, all year really, but it drops on Mondays, the Insider on Fridays. But this time of year, with everything going on with all the sports, tennis, English soccer, football, and the NFL out here, it's just a can't miss newsletter.
And the Ryder Cup, the Europeans against the Americans.
Europeans
against the Americans. Team Europe against America. That's going to be featured in the Insider this weekend. So also that's going to be on there as well.
Yeah, it's a house divided at Betting Weekly Tennis Live.
I go wherever I think value is. I will be wearing the Stars and Stripes if I think America are value. I'm not going to be betting Team Europe if I don't think they're value.
Yeah, I told people on the show last week. I had friends stateside that are on Europe. It really disappointed me, but I get value's value. Betting is betting. Back on the tennis thing before we wind it up, a banger of a match coming up in Seoul. Barbora Krejcikova, 2-time slam champ versus that U.S. Open champion, Emma Raducanu. Krejcikova plus 143, minus 177 for Emma Raducanu. There you see the spread, the over-under at 21.5 and some set bets too. As the Emma Raducanu whisperer, Nigel, I got to just let you have the floor here.
I don't think I'm the best person to ask on any Raducanu matches. I think it's a big price for Krejcikova. I don't want to, I'm going to say that quietly for any Krejcikova fans, but I think I think it's virtually a 50-50 call. I don't think that the wide difference in the odds should be anywhere near what those odds are. Krejcikova played well. I know she didn't really have much to play in her first round here, but I wasn't convinced at all by Raducanu. Christian had so many opportunities. He did take a couple of breaks early in the first set, led in the first set. But she couldn't convert them. Raducanu didn't serve at all well, and I know she's played arguably some of her. I think Raducanu is actually playing better than what she done when she won the US Open, because the route to the US Open, was so lucky and fortunate. I think she's played well in big matches, but Krejcikova's on the comeback trail, and she'll want it. She'll want it this week. And got to the quarterfinals of the US Open. played well there in conditions that probably wouldn't suit her. This is slow. I think the condition will suit more. I think the quicker for Raducanu, the better. The slower, the better for Krejcikova. I think Krejcikova is worth a bet at the price.
Great stat in the chat too. One of John's 47. 1 of 12 is Kristan on break points in the first set. So she had her chances, as you mentioned.
I think she was 3-0 up in the set. I think she went 3. She went an early break up. She was 3-0 up. Had so many chances, and she couldn't convert. But Krejcikova will punish Raducanu.
The thing about it too is she ran out of steam at the U.S. Open when she played Pegula. So she played a lot of tennis. I think that last match didn't end well because I don't think she had much left in the tank. So she minimized it, losing just 3 games in the first match here. I think she's in great form. The other thing, why, and I'm with you, I like Krejcikova. I think this is a solid money line play at that value. She's doing something else this tournament. She's back playing doubles with Siniakova. And usually there's been a correlation with some success there. So, yeah, I think Raducanu's playing well. I think this is great. If you want to bet over, if you want to bet that this will go 3 sets, that's good too. This is their first matchup. But I think Krejcikova is more than a live underdog in this spot.
Yep, I like her. I know Rory likes her as well. So that means that whenever the 3 of us...
That's not good. Yeah,
it's not good. That's not a good thing.
That's not good. The other matchup to look at in Seoul is Haddad Maia taking on Sedel. Sedel, who is the German who took out Emma Navarro in Cincinnati, has been playing a lot better. Beatrice Haddad Maia is playing a lot better given where she was, how her form had dropped. So didn't get the title in Sao Paulo on her home soil. Wasn't happy about that, but looking to rebound in Seoul. How do we see this one, Nigel?
Well, Haddad Maia's a lot of traveling, isn't it? She went deep in the US Open, then went over to Brazil, and then she's flown from Brazil all the way across here to Seoul. It's a lot. And, you know, she's not getting any younger. She looked good in the US Open in the early stages, but the disappointment of an early defeat by her standards in their home tournament was a bit of a shock. I haven't got much of an opinion on this match, but I do think if I was forced, I'd bet Sedel on the money line. If I was forced.
Yeah, I would almost look at the tiebreak props too, just find another way. I don't know if I like Haddad Maia. I'm not fully convinced she's back. So it's a tough one though. I mean, this is a spot though. Maybe she can turn her season around. I think she won this tournament last year, right? I think.
Yeah. Yes. Was it last year? She definitely won. Yes, it was last year. Yeah. But I think Sedel has got a chance, but I wouldn't be rushing.
So points to defend. That could be a good thing. That could be a bad thing. Who knows what that means there. For Haddad Maia. And then the last one, we mentioned Billie Jean King Cup taking place. We got the finals for the women going on right now in Shenzhen. 8 teams there. I was watching Paolini survive the other day or yesterday in a brutally long match as Italy won. Ukraine had a big win with Svitolina today. But there's a huge match coming up between Jessica Pegula, Elena Rybakina. There you see the money line on this matchup between 2 premier players on the WTA representing their countries in USA and Kazakhstan. I'm looking at a number of, and I don't want to be the one that fades Americans on this show, but that's a live spot for Rybakina if she's in form. It's always the qualifier, Nigel, but plus 125 for the big server.
Well, I haven't. I must admit, I haven't watched any of this tournament, so I wouldn't know if it's a quick call. I wouldn't know much about the court speed. I haven't really done much work. I've obviously been away on holiday after the US Open, come back, and I've been looking at this the stuff over in the Far East. So I'm probably not the best person to get involved in it. But the only thing I would comment on is that whenever these 2 players have played, they've usually been quite tight matches. There's always been quite a tight first set. There's usually a lot of games in the match, and I suppose we're waiting for Bet Rivers to come up with all their props and all their markets, which they will do in the next hour or so. The one that would interest me would be over on the total games. They played in Miami 7-6-6-4. They played in Guadalajara 2-6-6-3-7-6. Masters Cup in 2023 7-5-6-2. I think both of them will like it quick. Both of them can serve well, and I think it could be a long one. So that would be my angle. But as far as the winner concerned, I think you're probably better than me.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years since they have played. A lot's changed in that period. But yeah, I think maybe even over in that first set. It seems like it's a pretty fast court inside. I don't have the specifics on it, but Pegula hasn't played since that loss to Sabalenka in the semifinals. Same with Rybakina, where she lost to Vondrousova. So we'll see what's there. But, national pride's going to be at the forefront. The USA pre-tournament, Nigel, was a pretty big favorite to win this. So can Kazakhstan pull it off? That's the other thing, right? Like Rybakina has to pretty much do the heavy lifting. You know, it's one of the teams like when Andy Murray pretty much won the Davis Cup by himself a decade ago. So we'll see what that factors in.
Yeah, I'm going to go for games, but
Okay.
I think just looking at the price, 125 Raducanu does look a little bit big, doesn't it? Really.
It's team competition season. You know, Billie Jean King Cup. We had some Davis Cup. We got Laver Cup coming up. Just that time of year where we don't even know where the tennis is. It's just popping up all over Far East everywhere. Well, Nigel, this was a blast. Always fun. Reminder too, right? The daily double. Just want to remind it. We got Atmane on the money line, and you got Hijikata as well at -225. So if I have that right, it's about +210, +211.
+210, yes.
Yeah.
So I've gone for a +210 double. Terence, that man, to beat Dino Prizmic, and I'm going to go for that man, Hijikata, to beat Ugo Carabelli. I just can't have Carabelli at all. And obviously, if there's one set complete with Bet Rivers, you will get paid out on the match. And I think with Carabelli matches, that's very, very important because he does have a tendency to throw in the towel, shall we say, when things aren't going his way.
Yeah. Pop that champagne right when the first set ends. That's the official word. Nigel, always a blast. Nigel Sealy, thanks for joining me on this wonderful edition of Betting Weekly Tennis Live.
Take care, Mitch. All the best, mate.
Download the Bet Rivers app, follow our socials at Because We Win. Betting Weekly Tennis Live, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 1 o'clock Eastern time for the best and brightest in the world of tennis gambling. For Nigel Sealy, I'm Mitch Michaels. This was Betting Weekly Tennis Live. Enjoy all the tennis, and we'll see you next Monday.